The legal aspect of the case and what's ahead today.
Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson is joining us now. Jessica, good morning. Thank you for being here. What do we know about the type of legal arguments the former president's team is planning to make?
So at this point, obviously, it's a little bit of speculation because we haven't seen the charges. But I would say for everybody listening, zero in on the difference between the legal arguments that are made in and outside of the courtroom. Outside of the courtroom, we know that the former president has attacked the prosecutor, attacked the judge. Inside, we're going to hear much more narrow arguments. I expect today there will be nothing really other than a not guilty plea, that there will not be a full airing of here's our defense, for instance. That's not the time. Today is about an arraignment and it's about entering a plea and no more. But if we want to hypothesize a little bit, if we're looking at what we think the charges will be, we think the former president's defense in part will be that the statute of limitations has run on these crimes, that they're too old. We think in part that his defense might be that he didn't form the intent to commit some of these crimes. But again, a lot of speculation at this point.
Yeah, I was listening this morning. There could be a number of motions that come out after this hearing takes place from the defense, specifically, like you said, statute of limitations, potentially trying to move the judge off of the case, all those types of things. We'll have to watch for that. I do know that the district attorney plans to speak after the hearing. That's been widely reported now. Obviously, it's the first time he's allowed to speak since the indictment is just being released. Everybody's had to keep their mouth shut up until this point. So how specific do you think he'll try to get laying out his case to the public at this stage of the game? Obviously, you said the defense is probably going to keep things pretty tight, but he could go into pretty big detail to make his public case.
Well, I don't know that the defense will keep things tight or that the former president's attorneys will be able to keep him quiet after the arraignment takes place. He's already posted a lot on social media, and I expect that to continue throughout the course of this case. But with respect to the prosecutor, honestly, we haven't seen him in this public forum a lot. We know that he's the same prosecutor who presided over the case involving the former CFO of the Trump organization, Alan Weisselberg. But how he handles this, everything about this is a unique circumstance. And I think the question will be, does he simply say, here are the charges, a number of prosecutors have independently reviewed the evidence, and this is very briefly the evidence, or will he try and go into some level of detail to defend himself against these attacks? My guess is that he tries to keep it fairly high level. These are the laws at issue. These very briefly are the facts that led us to think that we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that those laws were violated. I don't think we're going to see him in great detail previewing the case for all of us.
Let's talk about the other side, because Trump made that last-minute addition to his legal team yesterday, former federal prosecutor Todd Blanche. What does this signal to you in your experience, especially with all the talk of the conflict of interest with Joe Tacopina?
So I think in part he understands that he is facing criminal charges and he is beefing up his legal team. When you see the addition of a former federal prosecutor, that could mean a lot of different things. It could mean, and again, this is guesswork, that they suspect that one of the additional crimes here, in fact, involves a federal crime and maybe a violation of federal campaign finance law. Also, former federal prosecutors tend to be very well-trained and smart attorneys. And it could simply indicate nothing other than the fact that he does feel that perhaps some of his other attorneys do face conflicts, and he wants to have the best representation. And this is what's different from a lot of people facing criminal indictments today across the nation. The former president can afford the best representation possible.
All right, Jessica, thank you. We appreciate your time this morning, and we'll check back in with you soon as the story unfolds over the coming days and weeks and months. Thank you.